Hey Fred. Okay, I'll post this video, not as private, but it's one of those things with a link thing. So I'll post a link somewhere, and then people have to click the link to see it, and blah blah blah. Just because it's sort of a personal conversation, but in a semi-public environment. Uh, so, I understand you're pissed off, and I understand that you're rather radical, I guess, in terms of your politics regarding homosexuality, and that's fine. But I think it is radical. I think it is fundamentalist philosophy. Um, I think you take it too far, and you can say the facts are with you. I'm going to say no. I don't think they are. I don't think the case has been proven. You're basically saying you don't want to listen to my videos. You don't want to listen to the argument. You don't really even want to have the argument because you're uncomfortable with it, obviously. That's even okay. I didn't really want to have the argument. I just wanted to protect a couple of words, and there was. I think it's really important to preserve meaning in these words, and I don't think they're necessarily bad words. They're certainly better than the alternatives. I think freak is not a good word. Um, they're certainly not saying something is abnormal. Is not saying kike or heeb. Come on, you know this is just so extreme. And the word symptom is really an important word to keep. Um, because I have no doubt that Bundy was a symptom. Um, I have no doubt that a lot of autism is a symptom. That a lot of other defects, and I'm going to say other, I'm just going to throw them in that category because they are defects from a norm. They're defects from what is it is a mutation. You have to concede the point. It is a deviation from standard function. And we know that most mutations are not positive mutations, that they're negative mutations. And you want to, because of the past, you're saying that we have an obligation now to keep language sterile of any kind of potential abuse, because people have abused words in the past that we can't use them now. And I'm just saying these are too fundamental. These words are just too critical to rational conversation to be allowed to fall into that category. They're not racial, they're not bigoted, they're just words, and we can live with them. I can live with being abnormal, and I can certainly even look from my own life and say, I'm a symptom. There's parts of me that are a symptom. And some of these symptoms are ones that would be worth preventing. It'd be worth preventing people who are pedophiles. And I'm going to argue that there's a complex circumstance that creates that. And then part of it, we can argue about the percentages. I don't really want to, but if that's what you want to do, because you're going to try to insist that it's 90% genetic or something, I'm going to argue that's nonsense. It's, you have to have a disposition. So let's say first you have to fall into a 25% category genetically. Then you have to fall into another 25% category in terms of your maturation, who your mother is, and the environment you grow up in, and the chemistry in the womb. All of these things matter. All of these things are the causes that create the effect. And there's nothing wrong with analyzing those, because some of these aberrants from normal would be extremely beneficial to prevent them. And the ones that are benign can be left alone. But you're going to argue that somehow it's an offense against a benign aberration to classify it with other aberrations, and I just think that's crap. The gender identity thing, that's a more complicated issue because that's probably more of a 70 or 80% genetic kind of thing, or at least in utero kind of thing. But we know that there's some homosexuals who are fetish homosexuals. I would almost argue they're not even homosexual because of some conditioned maturation. They've just taken in their sexuality because they had some bad relationships with a few women, so they just decide, well, I can make it work with a man, and or something like that, or or it's a true fetish, like they're just okay. They don't like men; they just like penises, or some other thing like that. So that's where this all gets very complicated, because it doesn't all fit into one category. There's no classic homosexual, by definition, a homosexual, that he is one thing or she. It's not. So this is, and you can't even, it's almost like you can't even classify homosexual, unless you're going to, to be fair, I mean, are lesbians homosexuals? And I'd certainly argue that most lesbians are probably have that disposition for reasons that are different than why men are homosexual. So I mean, there's a lot here to investigate, and a lot of this is good science. You want to take offense at it, fine. I can't do anything for you. I'm sorry. I can put you in a category as like the radical feminist, and you're a radical homo fight or whatever. Fine, be one. I'm not one. I'm sympathetic to defending your rights, the rights of anybody who is homosexual. Yeah, I'm sympathetic to in every way. I'm sympathetic to that cause. But if sympathy means that I can't say a word, that I can't use the word abnormal, or I can't use the word symptom, next you'll be saying I can't talk about cause and effect, because there's a cause and effect link between how one goes from being, a standard model human to being a non-standard model. But the point is that you just can't use this bell curve crap to say that the curve never has to be highly peaked. Of course it can be. We can get rid of let's see, the bell curve on intelligence even. Would there be some reason to willfully remain, not to skew the curve into the higher IQ position, to create whatever, not a curve, but a lump at one end? I think that would be sort of what you would try to strive for, is to almost have a sheer cliff, at one end, to have a slope of intelligence rather than a curve of intelligence. A lot of this, so whatever. I mean, there's just no, you want to think I'm bigoted, you want to think I'm somehow an ally to the bigots. I would argue that I'm not, in any practical sense. These aren't power words. Like, again, this isn't the language of a bigot. I don't talk like a bigot. I don't have anything in common with their cause or with their lifestyle or with their political ideology. So I don't see any ground for that. I don't see how anything in the nature of my total philosophy gives them any latitude whatsoever. Well, this door shouldn't be open. Could be beasties in here. Hello, beasties. Any beasties in here? Hello? No, apparently not. Yeah, so enough said. I just don't like your attitude. Obviously you don't like mine. And I don't know, how much damage we're going to do to whatever friendship we have over this crap. But yeah, I sort of take offense at this idea that you're going to preach to me and tell me what the facts are. No, I'm sorry, I'm not going for that. Especially when you're not going to listen to my videos and patronize me. Go ahead and do it. I mean, you're right. But I'm not going to say thank you. And I'm not going to appreciate it. And I'm going to find it offensive. So you could be offended and I'll be offended. And maybe this will, just make it more difficult for us to communicate in the future. But yeah, sorry, no sale. Yeah, enough. I think that's enough.